The important thing is to remember that just because they're for sale by owner or an expired listing, which automatically means there is inherent motivation to sell a home, they've already gone through all the hoops to get to that point where they're actually on the market, either on their own or with someone who just didn't have what it takes to get it done. So just because you know the motivation is there doesn't mean that it's not going to require a lot of follow-up. So if you've got a farm that you're working on, or if you're going after those types of leads, dig deeper. What's happening? I'm JC Agajanian, broker associate with the Whissel Realty Group at eXp, and as usual, we are bringing you the recap from the Monday Morning Mastermind that the Fast Forward Network puts on for us each week. And today we had three great topics once again. The first one is, in this new market that we're in, how are we approaching and what kind of success are people having with for sale by owners and expired calls? The next one is, if I want to get into farming, but I only have about $1,000 a month to do so, what should I focus on and what should I do? And the last question is, how are you handling transaction fees and are you charging them? And if so, how much? And we talk about that as well. So let's get straight into it. Today, our first question is for sale by owners or FSBOs and expireds. What's happening in this new market that has changed, and how are we doing this? Who's winning this game, and how are you standing out? The idea of just signing up for RedX or LandVoice or one of these systems and dialing is a good one because you can get to business right away. They provide the information, they provide the dialer, they provide everything. But finding homes that aren't on those lists, finding homes that are difficult to dig up contact information on, not just the ones provided by those services, is going to take more effort up front. If you have a virtual assistant or a live assistant in your office or somebody that can help you do this due diligence, because it is more time consuming, that would be a great use of their time. But the harder the number it is to find, the better off you're going to be once you finally make contact with that person. Because not as many people have bothered the heck out of them yet. So it takes time too, the whole concept of dialing for FSBOs and expireds. And the people that are serious about it are hammering in with not just time, but contact goals. So maybe 2 hours per day, they're dialing straight and they're looking to get 40, 50, 60 contacts per session. And if you have that kind of focus, and if you have that kind of success in making those contacts, you're going to end up building a business that is reliable if you're doing that every day. So the other thing that somebody brought up is to really know your scripts. Let's take this seriously, because let's assume, hey, one of the tried and true scripts out there for dialing FSBOs and expireds is the old Mike Ferry stuff. It's very direct, but it's very results oriented. But let's say somebody else is dialing the same people, the same list with that same script. Who's going to win? The person that knows that script inside and out. The person that is using the script, but they don't sound like they're using the script. The person that has digested it so that it's just a natural flow and it's delivered smooth. It's delivered just super just like normal conversation. That's the person who's going to have the best results from using these scripts. And that only comes from experience. That only comes from repetitions, whether in role play and practice or in live calls with prospects. But you've got to know your scripts. You got to know how to modify them and to roll with the punches when you're in conversation with somebody to really help them see how you are the best choice for them. Another tip in the whole FSBO and expireds world is, let's just maybe call aged expireds, but not super aged. So maybe 2-3 weeks old instead of the brand new ones or the ones from several months ago. Go for that little range where maybe people hammered first. These sellers got overwhelmed with the first few days and week. Maybe they stopped answering their phone, whatever the case may be. And then now, 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road, their guard's probably down a little bit. They're not getting hammered every single day. You're going to have a better shot at getting an answer by a little bit of an older expired than the brand new ones that you're looking for every single morning. Another interesting strategy that was mentioned this morning was the concept of a co-listing program for sale by owners. So the agent that mentioned this has got a whole plan, a whole program that he's built out, and basically it allows them to carve out exclusions. Like, you have a conversation with the seller. What are you doing already? Where are you marketing? How are you trying to reach the market to find buyers? Cool. You do that, and we'll carve out exclusions. Anything you come up from your efforts there, that's yours. I won't make any money on that. I'll cover everything else the market has to offer, and I'll market to them. And then you move forward, you put some, due diligence. And of course, there's lots of details, commissions are modified and all this stuff. But most of the times they quit. Like we know, for sale by owners, the majority of them give up after a month or two. So he said that the majority of them actually turn into traditional full service listing agreements with these sellers. And usually it's because they came without a real heavy-handed pressure approach. They offered to partner with them, similar to the other agent that was mentioning doing some free for sale by owner open houses and other advice and consulting. This is a different approach, but with the same attitude. Hey, how can I help you? I know I'm not going to make as much as I would if I took your listing, but maybe if I do this, I can get paid this. And then who knows, in the future, maybe it leads to something. So the co-listing program for FSBOs was an interesting take that I thought was pretty cool. Another top agent in the mastermind mentioned a 5-point no sale analysis. This is going to be free information to them on why their home isn't selling. And so this is not just, a few points that you can kind of throw at everybody. This actually takes an in-depth approach, and you're actually analyzing the current listing, treating it as though maybe it was someone on your team who's having struggles, or maybe a competitor that you want to find out what they're doing wrong and what you can do differently. This is the same type of report, but you're offering that to a for sale by owner and saying, hey, you know what? There's no commitment here, but one of the things I do is I go in and analyze listings that are not having the best of success, and I can tell you exactly what's going on. And you just come up with a whole list of stuff they need to do, and usually it's more than they want to do. So you've offered free information. You've actually taken time to look at their home and to create a report on what exactly is happening with their specific market time, how their home presents to the market, where they're priced at, all the details, comparable market data, information about the market in general, not just about the comps. It's an overall comprehensive report that, in reality will probably take half hour to an hour to pull together. So it's not nothing, but it's also not going to kill your week. But you're offering serious value to someone who's having a problem. They've got something on their hands that's not working out they hoped it to. So you give them the solutions, and a lot of times they don't have what it takes to implement those solutions, and they're going to boomerang right back to the person that gave that free report. I thought it was genius. I thought it was a great idea. So 5-point no sale analysis, go for it. Come up with your own way to do it. And I think I can actually get my hands on a template if I ask for it. So if that's interesting to you, let me know. Maybe I can be a conduit there for you. Finally, the old adage that it's a numbers game should be obvious, but it is. Only about 1 of every 5 people are even going to give you the time of the day. And the important thing is to remember that just because they're for sale by owner or an expired listing, which automatically means there is inherent motivation to sell a home. They've already gone through all the hoops to get to that point where they're actually on the market, either on their own or with someone who just didn't have what it takes to get it done. So just because the motivation is there doesn't mean that it's not going to require a lot of follow-up. So if you've got a farm that you're working on, or if you're going after those types of leads, dig deeper. See if you can come up with the email addresses that correspond with those phone numbers and names. And now you can use a digital approach to follow up in addition to just hammering them with more phone calls when you're not getting through. So lots of great tips for the for sale by owner and expired listings. And now we move on to farming. Once again, it's always a great topic. And this time it's a little bit different. What are we doing if I have just about $1,000 to spend on it? How can I really maximize the money that I want to spend and, the return on investment. So obviously one of the first things that were brought up are things that we do in our office. Kyle is one of the founding members of the Fast Forward movement. He runs our office. And so he shared some of the things that we do. So a great way to break into a new farm with little outlay. You're not spending a lot of money doing these things. It is a little more, sweat equity versus check equity, but they're great and people respond favorably to them. So we do a food drive in November, we do a clothing drive in December, and then we pick up Christmas trees for people in January. So this is a great time if you're going to start in on a new farm and you really want to get your name known to people. Start in November and roll through these holidays with contribution. That's basically what we're doing. We're saying, hey, we're not hiding the fact that we're a real estate team. The little flyers on how to get involved with us if you want to donate canned goods or whatever it is, it says that we're realtors on there, but we're not pushing for any sort of real estate conversation. We are just pushing to do good, to make communication with people that live in those blocks so that we are now a little bit closer to knowing them and them knowing us and hopefully liking us because of the good that we're doing in the community. So that's one take on breaking into a farm. A very similar concept from another agent is the dumpsters, donations, and donuts. And so the concept here is, I think it's maybe after the new year. I can't remember exactly when she said she does it, but she rents a big dumpster. And she has space for people to get rid of stuff. Maybe it's a spring cleaning thing. I can't remember the details. But she gets a big dumpster. She asks for donations and then provides donuts and coffee to people. And it's just a great time for people to get rid of stuff they don't want, to give away things that are going to help, Goodwill or whatever, service they decide to partner up with. And then have, some social time, chatting and having some coffee and donuts, and then on their way. And now you've made communication. You know who has participated. Of course, your branding is there. They see your face. They're having conversations. It's a great way to meet people in that farm. And it's a little bit easier than running around to all the homes because you set up shop in a specific location, somewhere that allows you to put a dumpster in their spot. So that's another one with the same idea to really give value and break in. So adding the digital component, just like we talked about in FSBOs and expireds, to farming is a great way to do it. Just like we said before, try and get a hold of those email addresses that correspond to the property address, name, and hopefully phone number that you've already gotten your hands on. And the cool thing is that if you get a full-fledged complete document, I'm just thinking Excel spreadsheet or something with everything. You got name, address, phone number, email. Then now you can retarget them on socials. You can do a custom audience with those email addresses. And now you can really add that digital component in. So they're going to see you on Facebook and Instagram and anywhere else you advertise because you were able to get those emails and upload a custom audience instead of simply advertising to the entire county that you live in, which is basically what we are relegated to as realtors with the restrictions that have been put on, so we're not discriminating against anybody. It just, there's no way you can really pinpoint and target, 300, 500, even 1,000 homes with the natural restrictions that these social media sites give us. But if you upload your own custom audience, you can do that just fine. Another tip as far as farming and reaching out to the community goes is to spend a little bit more money on an oversized, basically like notebook size piece of paper as a postcard instead of the jumbo postcards, which are roughly half of a piece of paper. It's not way more, but the impact is way more. So if you go with an 8.5 by 11 size postcard, now you've got 2 full sides that you can put plenty of information on, great branding. You can make more than one offer, or you can keep it basically uniform. But in any case, it's gonna kind of stick to the edges of the mailbox. It's gonna be bigger. It's just gonna be more impressive. And we have agents in the mastermind telling us that they get way better response from these giant postcards that are basically the size of a piece of paper instead of a regular size or even a jumbo size postcard. So there's a good tip right there. Use a bigger piece of paper. Now, another agent had something that it was truly novel. It's another concept on trying to give value in exchange for making contact and communication with people to get yourself known. But it was almost like a reverse farm. And so he made a social media campaign basically pitching letters from Santa instead of to Santa. And so people would see the ad and they sign up to get their kid a returned letter from Santa. And it's, he goes out of his way to make it really nice and fancy. He has it on parchment paper with a wax seal. And the whole thing, even though it sounds elaborate, it only cost him 87 cents a letter. So it's more time intensive because we are doing something that is really cool for kids, right? But he gets a little information from the parents on what he ought to write, and then each one is customized to the kid. He's already signed 2 listings without even having time to send out the cards to the kids yet. Just on people signing up, it has led to that much conversation, that much communication, and that many more people that know him and like him and trust him enough to say, hey, we need you to help us with this. I think it's amazing what you're doing. By the way, let's talk real estate. And that's what every realtor would love to hear. Let's change the conversation. Can you help me out? Of course. That's the whole reason we're doing all this, right? So Letters from Santa sounds like a great campaign. And if you're interested in it, let me know and I can get more information about all the details of what he's doing as well. Finally, on this topic, we have a suggestion, and this is a little more costly. I don't know exactly how much they cost, but there is a company called Wonderbly. And it's another funky, internet-based name sounding thing. But basically, the idea is to keep a real good account for how many families in your past client or sphere database, or in this case, how many families in the farm that you're working on have young kids. If they do, you can go to Wonderbly and have a personalized book that's got the kid's name and specific editable phrases and text in the story of this book, along with what kind of cartoon character will be more of an avatar of that kid. For example, brown hair or blue eyes, red hair. You know what I'm saying? Dark skin, light skin, whatever it is. You can customize the avatar, you can customize the text, and it's just a cool personalized book. Maybe not for everybody in your farm, but certainly a good idea for maybe past clients or people that have had kids recently. A very nice touch that will be remembered for sure. And I know that the people that he has sent them to have already responded really favorably. It makes a big impact. So consider Wonderbly if you like, and I can get you a discount code for that as well through my partner at the office. So that's it for that subject. Moving on to fees. Are you charging transaction fees, and how much are you charging? How are you proposing these fees? What are you doing? So for the most part, we got people all over the country in this mastermind. And here in Southern California, I've always experienced some sort of fee in the $395, $495, and now my current admin fee that I charge is $595. Some of the people in other parts of the country charge the same ballpark, and some of them were lower at like $250 or $350 or so. It really isn't super significant of how much it is. The biggest thing is about how it's being presented, and a really big thing for you to consider, and why are we even having this conversation, right? Well, if you're doing any sort of amount of volume, 20 transactions, let alone 30, 50, 100, or if you're part of a big team and you're doing hundreds of transactions each year, that amount per transaction is really going to add up and be multiplied. And it's going to account to quite a bit of money, depending on what kind of volume you're doing. And so I know from my personal experience, I can pretty much count on that transaction fee alone adding up to roughly a whole nother transaction for me each year, which is a big deal. So keep that frame of mind when you're looking at it, because we've had in our office alone plenty of people that have a serious mental block. They don't feel it's right. They don't feel it's justified. They don't want to do that. And even though we have a lesser transaction fee that we have to pay either way for our company or for our transaction coordinator, some people in our office have even chosen to just take that on the chin and pay it themselves because they feel so strongly they didn't want to pass that fee off to the buyer or seller. Now, I think that's maybe a narrow-minded approach to it, because there are a million different closing costs and fees coming from lots of different sources in any transaction, and we don't charge any. So if there's one fee that's to be charged, not collected up front, if and when you close on a home, I don't think it's that big a deal. And if you keep it with that frame of mind, it's going to be received the same way by the people you're pitching it to. Now, in general, we want to do something that sets us apart. We want to have our clients happy with us, happy with the transaction. We want them to give us good reviews. We want them to give us referrals of their friends and family and to repeat their business with us in the future. So if we're striving for that outcome either way, let's articulate all the different things that we do to strive for that outcome, put it on paper, and we're going to call it a VIP buyer package or a buyer advantage program. And this is basically highlighting majority of these things we're going to do for them anyways, right? But let's present them and make it clear, like, hey, I'm doing this for you. This is a real benefit because of what you get out of it here, here, and here, and you just highlight it out. When you present it in conjunction with a list of value that says this is something special that we do that most other teams in this county are not doing, it almost negates it entirely. The other way that some people, it's just a matter of perspective, really. Some people are saying it's a matter of compliance. And so, hey, Mr. Seller, we have to make sure that you are in 100% compliance, that you're disclosing your sellers properly, that we're meeting all of our deadlines. And because of that, this fee goes to hiring a professional who that's their only job is to make sure that we're doing all this for you. You can understand how that's important, right? Cool. So that's another way to do it. But yeah, making sure to tie it to value and not just, hey, this is normal in our market, everyone charges this, whatever the case may be. That's not cutting it. You gotta make sure that you're justifying what it is, and we can, because we offer a lot. Let's not downplay what we're actually doing for our clients. There's a couple other ways that people go to this as well. Some of them like to explain that the 3% commission that we earn is basically how we get paid for our time and our expertise and understanding of how to negotiate you through difficult times and walk you through the process. And that $5.95 that we're charging is just one of the hard costs of doing business. There's another group that was saying, hey, we pitch it as a white glove service. And so this fee allows us to really help and maintain our experts in each specific area of this transaction, so that it's not me trying to do everything for you all at once and likely not doing it as well as one person who's focused on this task and doing that perfectly. So there's different ways you can bring about the justification for this fee, but in the end, it's only going to be a huge deal if you make it a huge deal. We just have to explain what it is. This is part of the deal. Keep your money now. We don't need anything up front. This is just if and when you close on a home, and it's part of the deal. And just talk about it in passing as part of what it is. And it's like I said, it's only going to be as big a deal as you make it. So that's how we handle it in our office. And I get my admin fee on probably 95 to 98% of my transactions. I very rarely get pushback on it because I don't make a big deal of it. It's just one of the things that comes with the transaction. It's cost of doing business. And honestly, the amount is significantly smaller than the numbers that they're talking to their lender about, or the numbers that they're talking to their CPA about, taxes about. This is small potatoes in compared to all that stuff. So that's it. I hope you have enjoyed our topics today. There have been a lot of them that are great tips, things that we can put into our business right away. I hope you feel the same way. And of course, feel free to reach out for further information about any of these things, or if you'd like to join our mastermind yourself next Monday. Talk to you soon.